Let's talk about the rectangular light in this lecture. It's a cool tool in Unreal Engine that spreads light across your scene from a rectangular shape with specific width and height. These lights are super versatile. You can use them to mimic all sorts of rectangular light sources like TV screens, overhead lights, or even those stylish wall sconces you see in cozy spaces. They're perfect for adding that extra touch of realism and ambience to your scene. Just like point lights or spotlights, the rectangular light also has a spherical attenuation radius or the spread of light. It beams its brightness within a sphere of influence. But here's the cool part, it shines only in the positive direction of its local x-axis, kind of like a spotlight with its cone set to 180 degrees. And guess what? The specular highlights it creates showcase the width and height of the light's rectangular shape, adding some extra flair to your scene. There are some details I'd like to focus your attention on. The two parameters you will use most commonly are source width and source height. Take a look at what they do. Usually you will have to adjust the width and height of the rectangular light to match that of the surface of the 3D mesh. For instance, if the source of light is a TV screen, you would match the height and width of the rectangular light with width and height of the 3D mesh of TV. Now, to demonstrate attenuation settings of the rectangular light, I will remove all other lights in this level. As you can see, it's now pitch black in this level. The rectangular light is the only source now. Though we use a rectangular light, the light is still emitted in a spherical manner. Now, why is that? It's because the attenuation of rectangular light also has a spherical attenuation radius. How can we adjust this rectangular light so that its beams illuminate a rectangular shape? Well, this is done by adjusting these two settings, the barn door angle and the barn door length. Do it with me now. Now, as you can see, our rectangular light shines in a truly rectangular manner. Take a look. Bummer. My Unreal Engine crashed. I'm actually glad it happened, since this gives me a perfect opportunity to remind you that you need to keep saving changes in the level all the time. I will now open the project again, and I'm sure everything we did in this level throughout this section will be lost. As expected, since I wasn't saving my level, the changes are gone. Now let me tell you, this doesn't happen usually, but it certainly does. Unreal Engine is very complex and a lot of stuff goes in the background as you work. Something certainly can go wrong in any software of this complexity. But don't fret, merely saving your work occasionally will save you from doing everything from start. I will quickly rebuild the composition in the background, and let's continue. I think it looked something like this. Now let's examine a feature that might come handy as you work. I'm talking about this source texture feature. It specifies a texture that will be applied on the emitting rectangle. This texture affects the color of the light emitted by the rectangular light and is visible in specular reflections. Let's place a texture here by dragging and dropping a texture you want your rectangular light to emit. I will use this texture. Now, if move the light closer to the asset it shines upon, you will see that the texture will become visible. Note, however, that this projection is only an approximation. It does not affect shadows cast by the rectangular light. Use an HDR image if possible. To further enhance the quality of the emitted image, you can adjust level of detail of the texture to blur 5. This is done like this. Open the texture by double-clicking on it. Then expand mid-gen settings and choose blur 5. Don't forget to save the texture. That's it. Now you know how to beam a texture through light. I use this feature for ambient decorations in my game. Such subtle enhancements paired with a skillfully created level can create marvelous atmospheres. Your assignment is to experiment with features you've learned today. Make sure to create a couple of rectangular lights that beam textures. If you come up with something interesting, please share a high-resolution screenshot with me and your fellow students. This is it for this lecture. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.